In a grand hall on the planet Xylor, members of the Galactic Council gathered. The room was filled with different alien species, each with unique colors and shapes. Tension hung in the air like a heavy cloud as they discussed a troubling matter: the humans of Earth. The council members took their seats around a large, round table made of shimmering crystal. At the head of the table sat Grand Chancellor Varric, a tall alien with shimmering blue skin and piercing yellow eyes. He looked serious, his fingers tapping nervously on the table. "We must address the growing threat of humanity," he said, his voice echoing in the hall. Ambassador Xenak, a smaller alien with bright green skin and large, expressive eyes, stood up. "Humans have shown remarkable strength and intelligence," they said, their voice steady. "We must consider our options carefully before making a decision." Xenak had studied humans for years, and they understood their potential for surprise. Another council member, a fierce warrior named Krell, slammed a fist on the table. "We should strike first," he shouted. "They are becoming too powerful. If we wait, they will attack us. We cannot take that risk." Krell's sharp teeth glinted as he spoke, and several members nodded in agreement. "But what if we are wrong?" Xenak pressed. "Humans have survived countless challenges. They are resourceful and clever. An attack could lead to disaster for us all." The room fell silent as everyone considered this. Xenak's words hung in the air like a warning bell. Chancellor Varric leaned forward, intrigued by the debate. "What evidence do we have about their strength?" he asked. Xenak quickly produced a holographic display showing images of human technology, advanced ships, powerful weapons, and a strong military. "Look at their progress. They have even landed on other planets," Xenak explained. "They are not to be underestimated." Krell scoffed, shaking his head. "These are just machines. Machines can be destroyed. What matters is the will of the people. Humans fight fiercely for their home. We have to show them who is in charge." His passion ignited the room once again, and several members cheered in agreement. A wise elder, known as Elder Taro, raised a hand for silence. "War is a dangerous path," Taro said softly, his voice calm and steady. "We must remember our past. Wars have brought great suffering. We have lost too many lives already. Is this the path we want to take again?" His words reminded everyone of previous conflicts and the pain they caused. The council continued to debate, voices rising and falling like waves in a storm. Some argued for immediate action, while others echoed Xenak and Taro's caution. Ideas flew around the room, but no clear decision emerged. As the hours passed, the tension grew thicker. Krell's impatience bubbled over. "We cannot waste time! We must show strength!" he shouted, his eyes flashing with anger. "If we do not act now, we may lose our chance forever." Xenak took a deep breath, determined to calm the situation. "We can send an ambassador to warn Earth," they suggested. "We can inform them of our concerns and see how they respond. This could prevent unnecessary bloodshed." The idea sparked interest. A discussion of who would represent the council began, but Krell quickly dismissed it. "An ambassador will only show weakness. We must take charge." His anger was palpable, and he glared at Xenak, who felt a chill run down their spine. Finally, Chancellor Varric raised his hand, silencing the room. "We will take a vote," he declared. "Those in favor of sending an ambassador, raise your hands." Xenak watched as a few hands went up, but Krell's supporters raised their fists in defiance. After a tense moment, the votes were counted. The majority favored sending an ambassador, but Krell's face turned red with rage. "This is a mistake!" he shouted as the meeting ended. "You will regret this decision." As the council members left the hall, Xenak felt a mix of relief and fear. They knew the path ahead would be dangerous, but there was a glimmer of hope. If they could warn humanity, perhaps they could avoid a war. But in the back of their mind, a nagging doubt lingered. Would humans heed the warning, or would they respond with anger? The fate of both worlds hung in the balance, and Xenak was determined to find a way to bridge the gap before it was too late. The following day, the Galactic Council appointed Ambassador Xenak to deliver the warning to Earth. As Xenak prepared for the mission, a mixture of excitement and fear swirled in their heart. They knew how important this message was. A war could bring destruction, not just for humans, but for everyone in the galaxy. Xenak stood in front of a large window on Xylor, gazing at the stars twinkling in the distance. Each star held a planet, each planet a story. But now, the story of Earth was at a crossroads. After gathering their thoughts, Zynak boarded a sleek silver spaceship designed for long-distance travel. The ship hummed to life, and with a final look at their home planet, Zynak set off toward Earth. The journey through space was swift, but Zynak's mind raced with worries. What if humans didn't listen? What if they reacted with anger? These thoughts haunted Zynak as they approached Earth, the blue planet shimmering with life below. Soon the ship landed in a designated area, away from prying eyes. As Zynak stepped out, they took a deep breath of fresh air, feeling the warmth of the sun on their skin. The city was bustling with activity. Humans moved about, unaware of the warning that could change everything. Zynak's heart raced as they made their way to the government building. Inside, the halls were bright and busy. Zynak had requested a meeting with the highest officials, and soon they were ushered into a large conference room. The room was filled with human leaders, each looking curious and a bit confused. Zynak felt the weight of their gaze and took a moment to gather their thoughts. "Thank you for meeting with me," Zynak began, their voice steady despite the nervousness inside. "I am Ambassador Zynak from the Galactic Council. I come with an urgent message for you." The humans exchanged glances, their expressions a mix of intrigue and skepticism. One of the leaders, a stern-looking woman with short hair, leaned forward. "What is this message?" she asked, her tone firm. Zynak took a deep breath and spoke clearly. "The Galactic Council is concerned about the growing strength of humanity. Some members believe that an attack on Earth is necessary to maintain control in the galaxy. I am here to warn you that this plan could lead to great destruction for both your world and ours." A murmur spread through the room. The humans looked at one another, trying to process the gravity of Zynak's words. "Why would they want to attack us?" asked a young man with glasses, his voice shaking slightly. "Fear," Zynak replied. "Fear of the unknown. Humans are seen as unpredictable and dangerous. Some council members believe that striking first is the only way to protect themselves." The stern woman crossed her arms, her expression hardening. "And you think we should just sit back and let them decide our fate?" she asked sharply. "That's not how we do things on Earth." Zynak understood her anger. "I am not asking you to do nothing," they said. "I am asking you to prepare, show them that you are strong. But also, consider the possibility of dialogue. War will bring suffering to both sides. I believe it is in your best interest to reach out to the council and make your case." The room fell silent as the leaders considered Zynak's words. Zynak could see the mix of fear and determination on their faces. Finally, the stern woman spoke again. "If we decide to take your advice, how do we know we can trust you?" "I understand your concern," Zynak replied, "but I am risking my position and my life by coming here. I believe in peace, and I believe that a war between our worlds would be a mistake. You must believe in the strength of humanity, just as I believe in the strength of the Galactic Council." The young man with glasses nodded, looking thoughtful. "Maybe we should listen to what you have to say," he said. "It could help us avoid a disaster." As the discussion continued, Zynak felt a glimmer of hope. Perhaps humans would take the warning seriously. Perhaps they would choose a different path. But Zynak knew that time was running out. They had to convince these leaders to act before the council made its next move. With each moment that passed, Zynak felt the weight of their mission. They were not just an ambassador. They were a bridge between two worlds. As the meeting wrapped up, Zynak felt a sense of determination. They would do everything in their power to prevent a war and ensure a future where both humans and aliens could coexist peacefully. As Ambassador Zynak left the government building, a sense of urgency filled the air. The warning had been delivered, and now it was up to humanity to decide their next steps. Zynak watched as humans hurried about, but little did they know that a storm was brewing on the horizon. Back in the conference room, the leaders gathered to discuss Zynak's message. "We can't ignore this," said the stern woman, who introduced herself as President Miller. "If there's even a chance the Galactic Council is planning to attack, we need to be ready." The young man with glasses, known as Jake, nodded in agreement. "We have to take this seriously. The ambassador mentioned that humans have faced challenges before. This is just another one of those challenges. What can we do?" asked a military general, his brow furrowed with concern. "We need to strengthen our defenses and improve our technology. But will that be enough?" President Miller stood tall, her resolve clear. "We need to mobilize our resources. I want an emergency meeting with the military and tech leaders. We can't wait for them to make a move." The room buzzed with energy as they began to formulate a plan. Meanwhile, across the country, news of the warning spread quickly. Television screens flashed with breaking news, and social media buzzed with discussions. Some people were frightened, while others felt a surge of determination. A call to action echoed through cities and towns, uniting people under a common cause. In a large tech facility in Silicon Valley, engineers and scientists gathered to brainstorm ideas. They worked long hours, fueled by coffee and adrenaline, as they designed advanced weapons and defense systems. One of the lead engineers, Sarah, stood in front of a whiteboard filled with sketches and calculations. "We need to enhance our communication systems and build faster, stronger ships. If the aliens attack, we need to be ready to respond immediately," she urged. As days passed, the country rallied together. Citizens signed up for military training, and local businesses donated resources. Schools held assemblies to inform students about the situation, and community centers organized meetings to discuss plans. The spirit of unity swept across the nation like wildfire. People were determined to protect their home. In the heart of the military command center, General Reyes reviewed strategies with his top officers. "We have to be strategic about this," he said, his voice steady. "If the Galactic Council attacks, we need to strike back effectively. I want simulations set up immediately to prepare our forces for various scenarios." A young officer raised her hand. "What if we reach out to other countries? We need a united front. If we face them alone, we might not stand a chance." General Reyes nodded. "You're right. We need all hands on deck. I'll contact our allies and see how we can coordinate efforts." The plan was in motion, and the determination among the leaders was palpable. Meanwhile, in living rooms across the country, families gathered around their screens, watching news updates and discussing the possible threat. Parents reassured their children, emphasizing the importance of bravery and strength. The sense of danger brought them closer together, and many felt proud to be part of a united effort. Amidst the preparation, Zynak monitored the situation from their ship, parked discreetly on Earth. They felt a mix of hope and concern. Humans were responding with courage, but they wondered if it was too late. Would the Galactic Council still decide to attack? Zynak decided to reach out to President Miller. They knew it was crucial to maintain communication. They sent a message, requesting another meeting to discuss the next steps. Zynak hoped to offer guidance and support, believing that cooperation was the key to avoiding a catastrophic conflict. As the days turned into weeks, the world became a hive of activity. Factories increased production, training camps opened up, and a sense of purpose filled the air. The preparations were a testament to humanity's resilience. They were ready to fight for their home, but Zynak's words echoed in their minds: war would bring suffering. Zynak pondered whether humanity's efforts would be enough to deter the Galactic Council. But they also understood that sometimes the greatest strength lay in unity. With every passing moment, Zynak grew more determined to help bridge the gap between the two worlds, hoping to guide humanity towards a path of peace instead of destruction. The day had finally come. Tensions ran high as the Galactic Council prepared to attack Earth. They had grown impatient, believing that humanity would never back down. With their ships ready and weapons primed, they felt confident they could quickly crush the human resistance. In the depths of space, the Council fleet was poised to strike. Meanwhile, on Earth, the military was on high alert. General Reyes paced in front of a large screen displaying live images of the sky above. "We need to be ready for anything," he instructed his team. "Our radar systems are picking up strange signals. It's time to prepare for their arrival." The room buzzed with activity as soldiers checked equipment and commanders reviewed strategies. In a control room filled with monitors, President Miller watched the screens anxiously. "I don't like this," she said, her eyes fixed on the images. "We need to act before they do." She turned to General Reyes. "Can we launch a preemptive strike? Show them we're not afraid?" General Reyes considered her words carefully. "It's risky, but it might be our best chance. If we wait too long, they could overwhelm us." He turned to his officers, who nodded in agreement. With a deep breath, he made the call. "Prepare our forces for an immediate response." Back in space, the Galactic Council's ships loomed closer to Earth. Their sleek designs sparkled against the dark backdrop of the universe. Krell, the warrior who had pushed for this attack, felt a surge of excitement. "Today we will show these humans their place," he exclaimed, his fists clenched in anticipation. As the alien ships descended through the atmosphere, alarm bells rang out on Earth. The sky darkened with the shadows of the invading fleet. People on the ground looked up in fear and awe. Reports of the attack spread like wildfire and panic set in. But amidst the chaos, a sense of determination emerged. Humans were not ready to give up. The military launched their jets into the sky, ready to defend their planet. Sarah, the lead engineer, was in one of the control centers, monitoring the situation. "We have to communicate with our pilots!" she shouted. "They need to know how to counter their attacks." The first skirmish began as alien ships fired upon the human jets. Explosions lit up the sky, and the sound of chaos filled the air. The humans fought back fiercely, using advanced tactics that caught the aliens off guard. They maneuvered swiftly, dodging blasts while retaliating with precision. Zynak, still on Earth, watched from a safe distance. They had warned of the dangers of war, but now they felt helpless as they witnessed the unfolding battle. This isn't how it was meant to be, Zynak thought, anxiety gnawing at them. They knew they had to intervene, but how? Back in the skies, the battle raged on. General Reyes coordinated the defense, urging pilots to maintain their formations. "Stay focused! Don't let fear control you!" he shouted through the comms. The pilots responded with courage, their hearts pounding as they faced the enemy head-on. The tide of battle swung back and forth. Some alien ships were taken down by the well-trained human pilots, but the aliens were relentless. Krell led the charge from his flagship, barking orders and fueling the attack. "Push forward! Show them our strength!" he yelled, feeling the adrenaline surge. On the ground, civilians watched in horror. Many had gathered at local shelters, praying for their loved ones and hoping for a swift end to the chaos. The news reported the ongoing battle, showing images of the fight, both inspiring and terrifying. People held hands, sharing their fears and hopes for peace. In the midst of the chaos, Zynak made a bold decision. They hurried to the nearest communication center, determined to reach General Reyes. "I must speak to them! This battle can still be stopped," Zynak insisted, their heart racing. After some convincing, they were granted access to the military command. "General Reyes," Zynak said, breathing heavily as they entered the room. "You must consider a ceasefire. This fighting will only bring destruction to both sides." The general looked at Zynak, his expression a mix of disbelief and desperation. "We're in the middle of a battle. What can we do now? Tell your pilots to stand down," Zynak urged. "I can reach out to the Galactic Council. There's still a chance to negotiate." As the sounds of war echoed outside, Zynak and Reyes faced a crucial decision. Would they continue the fight, or would they take a step toward peace? The future of both worlds hung in the balance, and time was running out. The battlefield was a chaotic symphony of sound. Explosions echoed through the air, and the skies filled with smoke and debris. General Reyes could feel the weight of the world on his shoulders as he watched the fierce fight unfold on the screens. Zynak stood beside him, their heart racing with urgency. "General, we must act now," Zynak insisted, their eyes wide with determination. "If we keep fighting, we will only lose more lives. There is still a chance to stop this madness." Reyes hesitated, the sound of war ringing in his ears. "How can we trust them?" "The Galactic Council has shown no mercy," he replied, frustration evident in his voice. Zynak took a deep breath, trying to calm the turmoil. "I know the Council's ways, but I also know that they fear what they do not understand. If you reach out to them, they may listen. The fight will only bring more suffering to both sides." After a moment of contemplation, Reyes made a decision. "All right, I'll call for a temporary ceasefire. But you need to guarantee that you can convince them to talk." Zynak nodded eagerly, their heart hopeful. "I will do everything I can." With the order sent out, the sound of weapons firing slowly faded. Confused pilots and soldiers looked around, unsure of what was happening. General Reyes spoke through the comms, his voice steady. "This is a temporary ceasefire. Stand down and await further instructions." The shock spread quickly among both humans and aliens. Krell, on the flagship, felt the halt of the attack, but was furious. "What is this? Why have we stopped?" he shouted, his anger boiling over. His officers tried to explain the situation, but Krell could hardly contain his rage. "We have them on the run! We cannot show weakness!" Back on Earth, Zynak took a deep breath and stepped outside, gathering their thoughts. They knew they had to act fast. They needed to communicate with the Galactic Council and hope they were willing to negotiate. Zynak sent a message through their ship, reaching out to the council members. "This is Ambassador Zynak. We are in a critical situation. A ceasefire has been declared, and I urge you to respond positively for the sake of peace. As Zynak waited anxiously, they couldn't shake the feeling that the fate of both worlds depended on this moment. Meanwhile, General Reyes and President Miller were in a strategy meeting, discussing their next move. "We have to prepare for whatever happens," Miller said, her expression serious. "But we can't let our guard down." "Agreed," Reyes replied. "Let's keep our forces ready, just in case." Minutes felt like hours as Zynak waited for a response. Finally, their communicator beeped, and a familiar face appeared on the screen. Council leader Nira, a stern figure known for her wisdom. "Ambassador Zynak, this is unexpected. Why have you called for a ceasefire?" she asked, her voice steady. "Leader Nira," Zynak began, their voice trembling slightly, "we are in the midst of a battle that could destroy both our worlds. Humans and aliens alike are suffering. I believe we can find common ground if we are willing to talk." Nira's expression softened slightly. "The Council fears the strength of humanity. We thought an attack would maintain order. But if there is a chance for dialogue, we must consider it." Zynak felt a rush of hope. "Yes, let us arrange a meeting between our leaders. I believe that together we can find a way to coexist." After a moment of deliberation, Nira nodded. "Very well, Ambassador. I will speak with the Council. Prepare for negotiations. But remember, if this fails, the Council may choose to act decisively." With that, Zynak ended the communication and turned back to General Reyes and President Miller. "They are willing to negotiate!" Zynak exclaimed, relief washing over them. Reyes and Miller exchanged glances, both feeling a spark of hope. "We need to prepare for this meeting," Miller said. "Let's gather our best negotiators and ensure we present a united front." As preparations began, a sense of determination filled the room. Soldiers, engineers, and civilians alike all worked toward a common goal. They believed that this was a chance to end the fighting and create a future where both humans and aliens could coexist peacefully. The moment of truth was approaching. Zynak understood that this was just the beginning. The path to peace would be challenging, but the desire for understanding burned bright in their heart. If they could bridge the gap between two worlds, perhaps there was hope for a better future after all. As Zynak stepped outside to watch the sky, they felt a mix of emotions: hope, fear, and determination. They knew the upcoming negotiations would be critical. The fate of both Earth and the Galactic Council hung in the balance, but Zynak was ready to fight for peace, no matter the cost.